or two, and then you can go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to today's workshop. We are so excited that you are joining us today. We have a wonderful presentation prepared for you. Let me just give a quick intro. So here today we have with us Brenda, and Brenda is with Optum for our HSA, and Brenda is a relationship executive at Optum Financial. She supports adoption strategies and employee education needs around the HSA program. She's been with Optum since 2011, and before coming to Optum, Brenda spent 15 years working in HR and staffing, and that's in that industry, and has extensive experience in benefits, including HSA, FSA, HRA, Transit, COBRA, and EAP. Thank you, Brenda, so much for joining us today. We, again, are so thrilled to have you, and you can take it from here.
Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit today about some basics around HSA accounts, and then also how you can use your HSA as part of your long-term financial wellness plan. So first of all, just basics. What is an HSA? An HSA is a health savings account. This is a special account that lets you deposit pre-tax dollars to pay for qualified medical, dental, and vision expenses. These accounts are paired with a high deductible health plan. Anyone can contribute funds to them, and the maximum annual limit is set by the IRS, and the funds in here can earn interest, and they're yours to keep forever. So whether you need to use them now or you're saving them for qualified expenses in the future, they are yours to keep forever. Currently, there's no other financial tool under the tax code that offers the same benefits as an HSA. This is where you'll sometimes hear that HSAs are a triple tax savings. And that's because contributions that you make into the HSA are pre-tax, interest and investments that you earn are tax-free, and withdrawals that you use for medical expenses are tax-free. For the purposes of your tax filings, all federal income tax filings are good. There are a few state taxes that some states do require. So if you are wanting to know about your specific state tax rules and how much you can maximize for pre-tax, you would want to talk to a tax advisor about the specific for state savings for taxes. So just wanted to put up a quick snapshot that kind of compares retirement accounts. So we have the 401k up here, a Roth IRA, and an HSA. And this is just a good representation of what I was talking about with the tax code and how HSAs are different. These are all great things that can be a part of your retirement account planning. But as you can see, the HSA is the only one that has tax-free distributions. Now, that is only if you're using them for qualified medical expenses. If you get to retirement and you're going to use them for other things than qualified expenses, then it's going to be similar to like the 401k, where you will just get taxed as taxable income, but there won't be a penalty. And we'll cover that in a little more detail, but just wanted to kind of show you how, why they're considered, you know, a good plan as part of your retirement. So here's a look at how those tax savings that you contribute can work for you. So let's say that you deposit $3,000 into your HSA through payroll deductions. And then on average, your federal and state income tax savings would be $1,235. And then you're gonna earn some interest on that. And the money that you spend is tax-free. So let's say you end up having $2,000 of medical expenses, so you spend that money. you're going to carry over $1,000 because you can't lose it. There's no use it or lose it. And so you can see where with saving like 25% on the money you put in on federal taxes and an additional 8.5 on your state taxes, that you're able to save quite a bit by making these contributions into your account. So how much can you contribute each year? So again, this is set by the IRS and they do change it. And so for 2022, people with individual coverage can contribute from up to $3,650, and people with family coverage can contribute up to $7,300. Those people that are 55 or older but not enrolled in Medicare can actually fund an additional $1,000 on top of these amounts. And you may not know, but Salt Lake County contributes to your HSA as well. So they will contribute $600 for single coverage and $1,200 for family coverage. Plus, you can earn more through the Healthy Incentive Program. And this is something that is good to know. These employer contributions do actually count towards the maximum as well. So let's take a look at what you can use your HSA money for. Similar to a traditional FSA plan, you can use it for amounts, deductibles, copays, but you can also use it for a wide variety of things for both you and anyone that is your tax dependent. And so here is just a sample of some of the things that you can use it for. It's good to kind of know what you can use it for and what you can't. So some of the things that you can't use it for are things like teeth whitening and cosmetic surgery. But some of the things you can use it for would be for like physical therapy or lab fees, things like that, LASIK eye surgery. So a variety of things. And we do have a really good tool on optumbank.com that you can actually look up different things to see if they're eligible expenses or not. Now, while it's important to know what is qualified, it's also important to understand something about HSAs. If you use your money in your HSA for something that's non-qualified and you are less than 65 years old, you are subject to pay both income tax and a 20% penalty by the IRS. So it's really important that you use it for things that are qualified expenses. Now, after you're 65 or older, you can use it the same. You can use it on anything, but you will be taxed on the income as income if you're using it on things that are not qualified expenses. You won't be taxed if they are on qualified medical expenses. And I just point this out because one of the unique things about an HSA too is you might be trying to save for the future. So maybe let's say you have an out-of-pocket expense for like $200, but you don't want to use your HSA for that. You're actually saving your HSA for retirement. You could pay for that expense out of pocket, and then later down the road, you could actually go back in and reimburse yourself for that, as long as you show that you at some time use the money to pay for an eligible expense. So I want to take a moment to just point out another really important thing about HSA accounts, because a lot of people forget to do this. So if you have just signed up for an HSA account this year, or if you have an HSA account from previous years, or even with outside of Optum Bank, it is really important to designate a beneficiary. These are your accounts to keep forever. And, in the event that you would pass away, you want your money to go to who you want it to. You don't want it to have to go into, a situation where it's in the courts and deciding what to do. And so it's really easy to designate a beneficiary, just like you would for your 401k or another account that you own. You can either do it from our website or you can do it from the mobile app as well. So I am going to talk about the number one reason that people don't retire. And the number one reason that people don't retire is because of healthcare costs. And I know there's a lot of other reasons, but this is actually a big concern for people. And so most individuals have no idea how much they need to save for future care. Some think that it's not a concern because Medicare will pay for their care. And Medicare does pay for a good portion of your care. However, it doesn't cover everything. Medicare doesn't, you'll have to make up the difference for anything that there's a copay or a cost, and you'll also need to pay for the premium for Medicare Parts B and D. And just so for certain items, it's a good idea to build up your HSA to assist with these expenses. Now, Optum does have a tool that you can use to kind of get an idea of how much you'll need to pay for healthcare expenses in the future. So it's called the Health Savings Checkup tool, and you can get to this either by logging into your account, or you can also get to it from our main optumbank.com website before login. And it's a simple exercise that only takes a few minutes to complete. And what it's going to do is it's going to provide a personalized projection of your healthcare costs in retirement based on what state you reside in, your current health conditions, what Medicare covers, and what your HSA account balance is projected to be. So it's a good way to get kind of a realistic cost so that you can plan for some of those things and have an idea on that. A little known but powerful feature of an HSA is that you can invest your HSA funds. Investing gives you the opportunity to grow your funds for longer term needs like paying for qualified expenses in retirement, or even just using it to save for an upcoming expense that you may have that will be qualified. So with Optum, we have two options for investing. One is the digitally managed investments, and this is going to be for a little more help for people that aren't as familiar with investing and they would like a little help with that. So we have partnered with Betterment, and it's what's called a robo-advisor. So you go in and answer a few quick questions about just where you are, and then they actually help to pick low-cost exchange traded funds for you. Now, they also, if it comes down to where you have a lot of your funds invested and maybe you have an unexpected expense come up, and so you need to liquidate those investments and have it go into your cash so you can pay for that expense, they will also decide which investments to liquidate for you. So it's just a little bit more help on that if you're not as comfortable with investing. So the other option that we have is mutual funds, and this is the traditional option that many people use. We have over 30 mutual funds to pick from. They all get very high Morningstar ratings and they have low expense ratios. So if you feel comfortable picking your own mutual funds, this is another way that you can invest and help grow that. So if you need help deciding which mutual funds to do, we do have an HSA asset allocation calculator for you to use that will help you decide what would be best for you. And you can always make changes or consult with your financial advisor as well. One thing just to keep in mind, these are investments. And so they're not guaranteed by Optum Bank, and they may lose value as well as gain it, just like any other investments that you might be making or through your 401k or things like that as well. So when you are eligible to invest, or just to know, like you might be saying, how do I know when I'm eligible to invest? So you're eligible to invest once your account balance gets to $2,100. $2,000 is the threshold, and you can invest in $100 increments. So you are going to see one of these three messages when you log into your account at Optum Bank. The first one, you can see at the bottom, it'll say, oh, you're not quite there yet. You need this much more money in order to start investing. The second one, you'll see, congratulations, you're now eligible to invest, and you can actually click a link to take you right into learning more about the investments and making those investments. And then the third one is for people that are actually currently investing, but they maybe did like a one-time investment and they can still do some more investing or choose another investment option to mix and match. So this just kind of gives you an idea of where you might know, like, hey, I'm ready to invest. This is where once you are investing or you want to learn more about the different investment options, there is an investments tab once you log in to your account at optumbank.com, plus on the mobile app as well. So if you're a mobile app user, you can also view investment information, and you can view your transactions if you are investing or things like that. And again, do remember that you're not locked into this forever. So if you want to invest everything you have and just leave that $2,000 cash, but then you end up needing something for a big expense, you can always go in and liquidate those investments. It just takes a couple days to settle with the different investments in the bank, and then it's back into your account that you can use for spending. So I also wanted to take just a minute because we get so many questions on Medicare and your HSA, and it can be really confusing. So as far as the HSA goes, I certainly can't answer all your questions on Medicare. There are definitely Medicare experts that can do that. But as far as the HSA goes, once you enroll in Medicare Part A or B, you can no longer contribute to your HSA. And so for some people, because you might be going on Medicare mid-year, all that means is that you might need to look at how much you're contributing up to that point. So even though the IRS allows like $7,300 maximum, if you are going to be going on Medicare in June, you'll want to make sure that you only do half of that to make sure that you're prorated. Or if you've already contributed too much, the IRS does allow you to make corrections on excess contributions and things. But just wanted to make that rule clear that if you are on Medicare, you're no longer able to contribute to your HSA. Now, that being said, you can still use the money that's in there to pay for qualified medical expenses. And you can also do this. Let's say that you're on a high deductible health plan this year with an HSA. But for some reason, next year, a different health plan is better for you and your family. And so you're no longer on a high deductible health plan. You can still use the funds that are in your HSA to pay for medical expenses for you and your tax dependents. You just can't make new contributions to that account. So this is just a quick visual of different ways that you can access your account. There is the online portal, the traditional, and just keep in mind, these are bank accounts. They're individually owned bank accounts. And so there is some security set up when you first go to log in, and just like you would with another bank account. And so, please don't get frustrated if you have to change your password or give a security word. It is part of the safety and security of your personal account. You can also use the mobile app. I actually really enjoy the mobile app. I do pretty much everything on there just because it's quick and easy for me. And you also have a payment card where you can, if you are needing to use the funds and you're more in a stage in your life that you actually need to be paying for the medical expenses right now and you're not actually looking for retirement yet, this is a way for you to pay for it very easily. Either, if you get the bill at home and you can submit it through, the credit card through the online bill pay system or however you would like to pay. And then you can also reimburse yourself later if you've paid for something out of pocket and you wish to get that back out. That kind of brings me on to a couple other common questions that we get. So the first one is, who owns the HSA. And again, this is yours. You own it. It goes with you. If you retire, if you change medical plans, if you move into a different career, it is your account that you own. Do I need to keep my receipts? This is a really good question that we receive a lot. So with an HSA account, you're responsible if the IRS audits you to prove that you use the money on eligible expenses. And so Optum Bank will not ask you for a receipt. However, if you're ever audited by the IRS, you will need to show that the money that you took out of the account is eligible expenses. Also, as a banking company, we're required to report the amounts that you withdrew to the IRS for taxes. And so that they can see that you're using it for eligible expenses, you may have to prove that if you're audited. So I recommend keeping all receipts. We do have like a receipt vault online that you can use. There's also an expense tracker that allows you to upload like a receipt that maybe you paid for out of pocket, but you don't want to get reimbursed yet. You want to save that money in case you need it in retirement. There's a way to track that. So again, whether you track it electronically or in a shoebox or a filing cabinet at home, you do want to keep your receipts on your own in case you're ever audited by the IRS. The next question that we get is, if I have an HSA with another bank or another employer, can I open one at Optum Bank? And the answer is yes, you can. The easiest way to manage your HSAs is to combine them, put them into one, just so you don't have a lot of accounts out there. And it's really easy. If you have another HSA account at another bank other than Optum Bank, you can call that bank and then they will tell you what their process is for transferring the money over. And the same with Optum. If you ever wished to transfer your Optum account to another bank, if you were no longer with your employer, then you would always have that option as well. It's yours to keep. Okay, so those are a few of the common questions. So
Brenda, we have a few questions in the chat box.
Yeah, great. See here.
Do you want to go over those after or at the end? At the end or right now, Brenda?
So I am ready to take questions. So if you want us to go over them now, we certainly can.
Perfect.
I don't know if I can see the chat box from here. I'm looking.
Okay.
No, not a problem. So the first one that came in is, how often can you invest in Betterment, and is there a monthly investment fee?
Yes, so there is a fee with the Betterment, and for it's 0.5, and it's like 50 basis points if you understand investing. I'm not like the most acknowledged or the most knowledgeable about how that works, but it is a small fee, and it's actually charged quarterly. But it's pretty low, and I can certainly provide you with the exact wording on the rates as well. I don't know if you have a place that you would be able to publish like a Q&A afterwards too, but I could provide that for you guys too, the rates on the investments.
Perfect. Yeah, if you were willing to send that over, we post our workshops. They're recorded and we post them on our workshops page on healthy lifestyles. And so if you guys want, you can visit there with all of those. With that additional information, we'll have that posted there. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. I will give you the exact wording of the rates for both of the investment options.
Perfect. The second question that came in is, I just used my HSA for something I didn't realize that didn't qualify. Can this be reversed?
Yes. Yep, there is a withdrawal correction form that you can get. So if you just call in to customer service or you log into your account. You should be able to get that one of those forms, and then you just fill it out, and basically you're just paying back yourself then. Or if you have another expense coming up, like let's say you paid $50 that was not eligible, and you have another expense coming up for $50 and you want to just pay that, it will all even out in the end. You don't have to match the exact
Okay.
purchases.
Gotcha. So you just have to even it out, basically.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. The third question is, if my spouse goes on Medicare 5 years before I can I still contribute at the full family amount?
Yes. Yep. As long as you are still having family coverage on your health insurance, then yes. Then your spouse's Medicare would not interfere with you contributing that amount.
So it basically just depends on who's the individual contributing to the HSA, and as long as you're not on Medicare or Medicaid, you can still contribute, even if a family
Yes.
member
Yep,
is.
that is correct. And I was trying to think of the opposite example for you guys too. So like if somebody is, look at my Medicare notes here really quick. I know there's also a rule, which I can include this in the thing, where if you go on Medicare, can your spouse still contribute to an HSA? And it wouldn't be through your employer since they can't do payroll deductions for your spouse. But there is a way that if you go on Medicare that your spouse can too. So I will put that on the Q&A as well.
Perfect. And then we have two more questions that rolled in. If I buy a prescription at the pharmacy with my HSA card, do I have to keep this receipt?
So because you do, so or you want to, because you want to either keep that receipt or you will want to, because it still gets run through your insurance, you could use like the explanation of benefits from your health insurance provider, but you just want to have backup that anything you used the money for, it's you have that proof that you spent it on something that's eligible. I think what you're thinking of too, and there's a little bit of difference with FSA accounts. With FSA accounts, the cards are restricted to only be able to use it for eligible expenses at those places. And so if you had an FSA account and used that card, you normally wouldn't have to provide a receipt because the machine knows that it's eligible. But HSA cards are different because people can use them for other things. And so they're not as restricted. So the responsibility is on you to keep those receipts and to prove that you spent it on something eligible if you're audited.
So a follow-up question on that is, on the app, I noticed that there's like, it says recent transactions, and it kind of gives a small description of like money in, money out. That's not technically good enough as far as like proving what you purchased. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
So yes, because I mean, because technically, if someone was 65 or older and they wanted to go buy a new TV with their HSA funds, they really could do that and just take it as taxable income. So it's not restricted. So yeah, definitely for the HSA, you want to make sure that you're, that you are responsible for knowing what you spent the funds on and that it's eligible.
Okay, perfect. We have quite a few more questions rolling through, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
Awesome. Okay. What if you purchase something that should have been eligible, but it didn't ring up that way on the sales receipt? If you might need some more clarification on that one, we can ask for that.
Yeah, I guess I would make sure that it is eligible. I would go to our website and use the qualified medical expense tool and make sure that what you're purchasing is actually eligible. Because most of the pharmacies and retailers, they have it set up that way just for people that use FSA accounts. And so they usually, if something truly is eligible, it's going to show that it is on those. But I would just, yeah, double check and make sure that, or I mean, you can go to the IRS website too, and that's the true source of truth, but most common things are going to be on that qualified medical expense tool.
Gotcha. And specifically for that, if there is, so on the list, right, that you had, for instance, it said sunscreen on one of those. Does that mean that that's available for all brands or any specific? Yeah, that would be great if you could scroll back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's see.
So sunscreen is an eligible expense.
Oh,
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter, and what the brand is or anything. So it is, as long as it is so the IRS is always going to go back to, like, is it used to prevent or treat a medical condition? And so sunscreens are qualified because they are, to prevent sunburns and to prevent cancer and things. So so those are eligible. I think where I can tell you some of the areas that get a little trickier are things like vitamins and supplements. And that's where sometimes your doctor will write a letter of medical necessity saying that you need to take it for a medical condition. And you would want to hang on to that as your documentation, versus where some of these things are just an automatic over the counter. Like another one we see a lot is massage therapy, and that is typically not an eligible expense. But if you have a doctor's note saying that you need it to treat a medical condition, a letter of medical necessity, then you can, use that as your documentation.
gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for the clarification on that.
Yeah, there's so many different types of expenses. So that's why usually if you have like a question about an individual one, I might not even know, but it's always good just to check it out and make sure.
Perfect. And you said that that's called the Qualified Medical Expense Tool, and that's on on the Optum website.
Yes.
Perfect. Is that tool available through the app as well? Do you know?
You know what? I think it is. Now I can't remember offhand. I think it is
That's
though.
totally fine.
Yeah.
Perfect. Another question that came through that it's asking, would you say that the price tags in CVS and Walgreens drugstores that read HSA approved are accurate and trustworthy?
So I actually can't speak to that. No, I mean, because I just don't know what they're using. I mean, we have our Optum store now, that it's an online store, and those I would feel comfortable are, but I can't speak to what other companies' policies and procedures are. I mean, I guess I would, it's a good start that the things that they're listing on their signs are, those are reputable companies. And but I would always do your due diligence and check on your own as well.
Perfect. Love that. Another question. Can I contribute to the HSA without doing a payroll deduction and deduct the contribution on my taxes to get the tax benefit?
Yes, you can. So we see this a lot because, like, right now, you are done with your 2021 payroll, but you actually have until tax time to make contributions to your HSA for the year. And so maybe you contributed $3,000 through your payroll in 2021, but now you have a financial advisor or someone that's telling you like, hey, you should max your contributions to maximize your tax savings. You can actually log into your account at optumbank.com and make an HSA contribution right there from like a checking or a savings account. And then you can do it on your taxes.
Perfect. That's awesome. Definitely something I didn't know. Alrighty. When investing through our HSAs, are the funds still part of Optum Bank, or do we have to create a separate account for any ETF investing?
That's a good question. So with Betterment, it is a separate account. So when you choose to use that option, you are going out and creating an account with Betterment. And so while there's like a single sign-on process, it is actually an account there.
Perfect. Okay, so yes, definitely two separate accounts. Perfect. Let's see. Just some more questions about, sorry, I'm scrolling through.
That's okay.
Okay, somebody's asking if you could please review the annual contribution limits. And a follow-up question to that, did you mention that employee and spouse can each contribute $1,000 catch-up provision annually?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, yep. So here, I'll put it up there again. So for 2021, you have until you're filing your taxes to fully maximize your contributions. So the limits for 2021 are 3,600 for individual coverage and 7,200 for family. For 2022, the limits went up to 3,650 for individual and 7,300 for family. If you are 55 years age of or older, you can contribute an additional $1,000 year catch-up contribution. Now, spouses can also make this separate $1,000 catch-up contribution to an account, but the account has to be in their own name. And so they would need to go out to either Optum Bank or another bank of their choice and open an HSA account outside of, it would be outside of the county. It would be on your own, but you are allowed to do that to maximize your tax savings and to prepare for retirement.
It looks like we skipped a couple questions too, or maybe they're just showing up on my end, but we had a participant ask, wouldn't a thermometer be considered a medical testing advice? This is what I had not come up as the HSA expense.
I'm not sure on thermometers. I am not positive on that one. I could certainly check with one of our claims team members and ask on that item specifically. Or, you know, I'm not, like I said, I am definitely not like no one could possibly know every item that's eligible and eligible by the IRS. But no, that seems like one that our claims team has probably seen before, and I could certainly ask specifically on that one.
And the next question I think is more for us. It says, when does the county make the $600 contribution for the year? That is a great question for the HR benefits team. I believe, though, that it is the first paycheck of January, but do not quote me on that. So if we have any HR individuals, please put that in the chat if you know the date for that.
Was there any other ones that I missed, Sadie? I'm so sorry.
My next one is, are your medical insurance premiums only eligible after you turn 65? What if you retire before 65?
So medical premiums and HSAs is another kind of tricky area that I would want to make sure that we would like address your specific situation on that, because there are things, and I'm sure you guys saw a couple of them when I had the eligible expenses here. There are some things like COBRA premiums and things like that that you can due and long-term care premiums. But I, again, would prefer to give you like the official answer from the IRS on that. So I will include that as additional information.
Fabulous. That's the last of the questions I see on my end.
Okay, same. Does anyone have any other questions that they wanted to ask before we end today?
While they're doing that, it was really easy to transfer the Betterment investment funds to your HSA for cash. I was actually doing that while you were talking, Brenda. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I need to do that. So I went to my account, did it while you were talking. Super easy. I think it takes a couple days for that to process, though. Is
It
that right?
does. Yep,
Okay.
it does take a couple days for you to actually see it. And then, you'll get like statement notifications and things like that. And with investments, you can either set it up like as a one-time, like if you have $2,000 you want to put in your investment account, or you can set it up to automatically as soon as you have another $100 in there, it automatically goes through and goes to that investment account. So you can kind of do it either way. And so it's really, I will say investing has become like a really popular topic in the HSA world. So don't be surprised if you even start to see like more options and things. Like I know Betterment has one whole group of EFTs that's for people that are interested in lining up their investing with companies that are socially responsible. And so with like Betterment, once they pick your funds for you, you can actually specifically then ask them about clients that are, or investments that are more socially responsible, if that's something that you're interested in. So a lot of interest in that lately.
I see. And we had a follow-up question in the chat on that. So this person asked, when can you start withdrawing from your investment account for eligible expenses? It sounds like you can do that at any time, right? You can pull from your investments.
You can. It's just we like to make sure people understand that it's probably a 2-day process in the banking world, because you're telling you're saying sell off these investments and that takes a day. And then you're saying like put it in my account and that takes a day, because it is real money that you're talking about. And so, it's not something where you could go in at 2 o'clock and have the money available at 4 o'clock. But it would be something that within a couple of days you would have access to those funds.
Perfect. And we have one last question. Oh, we actually had a couple come in since I was looking at that one. Okay. For beneficiaries, do they receive all HSA funds, both HSA and investment funds, and are they held to the same rules for using the funds?
So it would be everything that's in your account would be considered like your total account balance, both cash and investments. And they would be as in like that if they were using them for eligible expenses, they would not have any tax consequences. But if they use them as something else after 65, it would just be charged as income.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
The next one said, oh, go ahead.
It's similar to like a 401k at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. So this person asked, so if I were to go to the Optum store and find the items I am needing are in fact there, that confirms I may use my HSA card to purchase these items.
Yes, that is correct.
Perfect.
I haven't checked out too, like I went on there a while ago and I know there's like some deals sometimes like percentage off, but I haven't looked enough into it like to do pricing compare. But I'm not, they're just like, they're kind of like another part of our business. So I am not going to give preferential treatment to, if it's cheaper to go to a different store to buy it or anything like that. But it is, I do feel comfortable that it's a good source of what's eligible and what's not.
Gotcha. And then the last question that I can see is what fees does Optum charge for investing? And that kind of goes along with that very first question that we had talked about with
Yes, I will give you all of that in the follow-up just so that I make sure that I have, that people know exactly what it is for that. I do know, like with the Betterment too, I know that it is definitely like a subsidized rate where if you were to go open an account at Betterment on your own, it would be, a higher rate. But I will get you the exact information just because that's important to know.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, so you guys please check out our website, the Healthy Lifestyles website, and click on the workshops tab. And when this gets uploaded, look at the beginning of next week. Just make sure that we can get that uploaded, take care for you guys and posted. Please visit that portion of our website and it'll be all there for you, including the recording as well. Sadie, did you see any other questions that rolled through?
No, nothing on my end.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brenda, for a wonderful presentation and answering all of our questions that rolled in as well. This has been a fantastic and very, very helpful workshop. We really, really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yay. Yes, it has been fantastic. What a wonderful start to our financial wellness month this month. So you guys keep tuning in to our workshops and participating in other activities throughout the month as we are focusing on financial wellness and answering any questions that are applicable to you guys. Again, thank you so much. Sadie and I will stay on if anyone has any other additional questions. But other than that, we will see you next time.
We have somebody who's downloading the app now. Great job, Brenda.
Yay.
Tons of thank yous also pouring in.
Oh,
Awesome.
well, and I will get you some additional information and some questions, some answers to these questions. And yeah, I mean, I am definitely open to if this seemed pretty popular, if you want to do another one at another time too, we could certainly do that.
Yay, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much for being willing to.
Yeah, no problem. I can't wait to be able to actually come out in person again too, but it seems like that keeps getting pushed back.
Yeah.
I know, I know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brenda. I will keep an
Sure.
eye out for your email. If there's anything else, though, that you need from us, please let me know. And again, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.